we go. Can y'all still see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
No.
We are the PowerPoint.
Okay, there we go. So, and thank y'all. So when it comes to being an attentive listener, you want to focus on the speaker and eliminate distractions. I don't mind saying I'm guilty of this. My husband tells me all the time when we're talking, you're on your phone while we're talking. And so for me, that's something to be more mindful of if we're trying to make a sale or win a customer, win friends and influence people, you know, the book, then it's important for us to be on purpose to eliminate those distractions. The other way that we can be an attentive listener is to be patient. Let the speaker finish and try not to be formulating your thoughts, but use your body language to let them know that you're engaged, what they say is important to you, because people want to feel important, not that you're just trying to whiz on by and get to what you have to say. So that's a good skill to practice. And so that's just another way we can be mindful of how to be a good listener. I know, honey, I can hear your thoughts without you saying it. Oh, don't interrupt while the speaker is talking. Okay, so the other thing is to be a responsive listener. That's the second way. Being a responsive listener means that you're able to demonstrate that you're listening and understanding while they're saying and encouraging them to continue to talk. You can do that in several ways by having nonverbal body language, such as smiling, facial expressions. I know in entrepreneur world, one of the facial expressions we talk about is mirroring. If they're having some positive emotions or feelings and behaviors and attitudes that they're modeling, you can mirror that. If they're smiling, mirror a smile. If they're nodding, you can nod. If they're nodding yes, you can nod yes. So mirroring body language. So that kind of feeds some good subliminal messages to the person that you relate to them and that you connect to them. Good eye contact, that's something I definitely need to work on. And then if it's appropriate, you know, taking notes, but just being a good listener. And, you know, there's this book about leaning into the person so they feel valued. What they have to say is important. So leaning in is another nonverbal cue to encourage the person that you are responsive to them, you're listening to them, and that you value who they are and what they have to say. And so verbal responses that you can mirror for them is, yeah, I see. Oh, yes, really. So those are some good ways to give some verbal communication in addition to the nonverbal. So of course you want to avoid these negative responses, nervous gestures, yawning, like you're really boring me and I really have something to say. So why don't you hurry up so I can say what I need to say? So body language can come off in a negative way. So you want to be mindful of how you're doing that. And so we talked about the responsive listening. Now we're going to move on to the active listening. And we already did the attentive listening. So now we're talking about the active listening. Active listening, which is something we do big in public school, is very important because it combines the skills of listening and responding without invalidating the person. So active listener will monitor the communication. You're monitoring how they're feeling, you know, so don't just, you look at their body language and pay attention. Don't just disregard how a person may say, because if they're giving a body language like, you're boring me and I really don't want to hear all this stuff about your Ganoderma. Like, let's be honest with each other. Some people don't want to hear that spiel, but what we can do is when you're paying attention to body language, back off for a minute, toss a question out to them, okay? Toss a question out to them, because you being patient and tossing a question out to them, it goes back to them feeling valued, them feeling like you're being responsive to what they need to say. Then that's an opportunity for them to unveil a problem that they're having, and then you can offer solution. So some other nonverbal indicators when it comes to being an attentive listener would be your tone of voice in their tone of voice, listening to the vocal projection, body language again, we talked about that body language, and then facial expression, smiling, mirroring back. And then verbal indicators would be use of strong emotional language. You want to avoid those kind of things like cursing, derogatory comments. And yeah, that's not a good thing because we all know that could be a turnoff. So last but not least, there are 4 levels of listening when it comes to conversation. Hang on for a second here. 4 levels of listening when it comes to conversation. There's factual, where if we're sharing information to them, we can share facts such as Ganoderma and being a Chinese herb and being an herb of royalty. That's just an example of factual information. There's also perceptive information. There's emotive information and mixed. We know that factual is one type of level of listening you can share, but we also know from our mentors who have shared with us, stories is the best way to convey that information. Don't just come off with facts, but share it in the context of stories. Maybe take a testimony of any of our business partners. Take a testimony of any of your customers. One business partner that comes to mind would be Roya, how she had already done her research on the Ganoderma herb and how it impacts skin. And so for her, knowing how that Ganoderma and the reishi mushroom can help your skin glow and help your skin flow. And she had researched that all the way back to her country, Persia. And so that's just a little storytelling where we can compact and tell the story of Ganoderma and the reishi mushroom and the impact, but we can put it in the context and make it relatable in a story format. Of course, we can interject feelings and emotion in perceptive ways to help people come across with their belief and thoughts. Take their beliefs and thoughts and package it into a story, and how you can make that story be a part of a solution to help them. That's a powerful way. And I think one of the most valuable takeaways that I've learned as an entrepreneur is being able to do our personal development. But by doing our personal development, our Sunday success calls, listening to things like Jim Rohn and your different books, tapes, and functions, being a part of the OG event that's coming up in October, that helps us be mindful of mindset. And with mindset, that helps us do a better job at approaching people. So being perceptive, where we can help form and shape the belief and thoughts of people by first being a good listener. And then after we've done some good active listening, then we can offer solutions. So basically, we don't want to necessarily be the talker. So tips for business: taking risks to lead with our innovative products, listening to what your customers need, and by learning what they need, we can come behind them and offer a solution. The solution can be tools through our product line, or financial opportunity through our business opportunity. So with that said, our call to action: practice the rest of this week being a good listener, being able to handle those objections, and then offer our products to provide a solution or a financial solution with the business opportunity. So with that said, that's it for me. On the screen, you can kind of look at that a little bit later. Some ways to kind of say different clarifying questions. Tell me more. These are good ways for you to show that you're a good listener and being responsive. As your customer or client or someone that you're trying to pique interest, you can ask them questions like, tell me more. Why do you say that? For example, tell me more. How so? So what's your why about that? And so those are very open-ended questions. JC, remember that? Open-ended questions versus closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are one answer responses. But if you say, and, how so, then it creates the opportunity for them to have to dialogue more. And the dialogue and being responsive is exactly what you want, because that's where the answers, their problems will unveil themselves. The more you can get them to talk, less of us talking, more of us listening, and more of them talking, then whatever their problem is, it will unveil itself, and then we can come behind and offer the right opportunity or product as a tool to solve their problem. I want to thank y'all for your time. And that's it.
Awesome.